Hello and welcome to a new episode of Tynkrring with X, Y, and Z. I'm Aru, I'm your host, and I'm joined with.
I'm Shailendra. I'm also your co-host.
Yes, we're
And
back.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes, we are back and Happy New Year, Happy 2022 to everyone listening, everyone
Stay
out there.
safe, wear a mask, maintain social distance, wash your hands. That is the public service message.
Yeah, so how is 2022? Anything new?
2022, I think it's going to be another extraordinary year. I always look forward to New Year to see what new we could do with it.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty excited about the year.
Yeah, I started an internship this year.
That's nice. Congratulations on that. It's
Thank
a good
you.
effort.
Yeah, I started interning in this company called Female Cricket, where they exclusively just publish media on women's cricket, like news and video and interviews, and it's just exclusively only for women cricket. You can check it out. I'll put the links down, and it's a very interesting concept, and it's quite big, and they gave me an opportunity where I can write for them, and I started my year off that way. I think
I think it's an excellent start. Wonderful. Congratulations and all the very best. I think like the episode itself is focused on writing. I think writing helps you discover new things. It also helps you to discover yourself.
Yeah. I think writing for us has been important because you both write. You have your own newsletter called
What's the big news?
What's the big news?
What's the big news? And officially it's called Running Platform Marketing Life because that's what I write about.
Yeah.
You could also read hers, which is a part of my life.
A part of my life. It is things which are a part of my life and also which are apart from my life, because I read about from personal experiences. And writing has been, I think, important to both of us that we write. But for me personally, writing has been a way I could delve into different things. I talked about it recently as well with the India 2020, where they asked me why I write. I'm like, it gives me opportunity to have new experiences where I feel like, oh, if I'll do this, I'll get to write about it. And I get excited about doing that so I can share it with people. I want to ask you, what's the highest compliment you think you can get when you write or you publish your writing? What kind of compliment makes you the happiest? Everyone keeps saying, yeah, great writer and all that, but what is one compliment that makes you feel?
I mean, people usually turn up saying that they got a new insight out of it. They could use it in their interviews. Most of my writing is about business and about platform businesses. So they said they could use it in their work life, which is again, interesting way. I do make recommendations about what I've done and watched, and a lot of people can get inspired out of it. So it happens that way.
Yeah, you get to share a part of you through writing. For me, I think it's when a lot of times I lost touch with a few very good friends during the pandemic. And one of them hit me up like a few months back, and she felt like I still felt connected with you through your writings, even though we were not talking on a daily basis. And it kind of made me feel happy because that means what I wrote felt authentic and felt like they were connected to me indirectly through my writing. And I think that's great. That's the power of words, right? They keep going. They're never ending. So I think that's a great segue to get our guest. So introduce who is our guest
today. Professor Usha Raman from University of Hyderabad. She's a friend of Tynkrr today.
Yeah.
Professor Raman has been a great mentor and a teacher to a lot of people in journalism, more specifically in scientific writing about sciences. And she's, as you would see in the next segment, she's a terrific influencer in that sense, and she makes a lot of insightful comments about writing and the writing process. So let's get into the next segment.
Let's get into the segment and hear what she has to say about writing to all of us.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, Professor Usha Raman. Thank you for being here and thank you for being a friend of Tynkrr. I'm so glad that you could join us today afternoon for discussing writing and the process of writing and the perks of writing in that sense. So thank you very much and welcome to Tynkrring with X, Y, and Z.
You are now a friend of Tynkrr.
Thank you so much. And, thanks for having me. I'm delighted to be here because I think writing is also about tinkering. So I love the name. Thank you.
Yeah, we're tinkering all the time. How do let's start off with, can you share your journey as a writer that you've had so far? How did you start? What motivated you to start? And what do you write about? What you've been writing about?
Okay, so, given my age, you're really asking me like to go way back into history. I can't remember a time when I did not write. I was looking back many years ago at early report cards, and my kindergarten or first grade report card, the teacher has written, she tells very good stories, but has difficulty counting change. So clearly, I was never going to be a mathematician, right? So I knew my currency was going to be words. So I've always, I've always dabbled in writing all through school. I tried doing the Indian version of Enid Blyton's school stories when I was in school. I would give my friends birthday stories as gifts where they were characters in like a little silly story. So I've always, written for fun. When I was in school, I had these brief dreams of becoming a nuclear scientist or, molecular biologist. But my principal said, you should be a journalist. And I just dismissed that because I didn't think journalism was as cool a career as nuclear science or genetics. But strangely enough, I ended up continuing writing, even though I studied science in my undergraduate college. And then when I finished college, I just ended up applying both to journalism school and to genetics for an MSc. And I got into both. And I really thought about it. And I realized that if you want to be a world-class scientist, you really have to give up everything else. You have to dedicate your life to the lab. And I just had too many interests. I wanted to read, I wanted to see the world, I wanted to, do a bunch of different things. So then I chose journalism because I thought that would be a way in which I could write and also learn about the world. So that's been kind of my journey. And I worked as a journalist for many years before I ended up becoming a teacher. And so now I teach writing for a living, but I also continue to write in various genres. Yeah.
So, like you said, as far as you could remember, you were writing. How did it help you personally? Like, how did it help you grow as a person? And if yes, how?
Well, I think, when you enjoy writing or when you want to tell stories, you don't really think about it as a way of helping yourself. But I guess in the process of writing, you do discover things not only about yourself, but also about the world, right? In fact, very often I tell my students that writing is the art of the second thought. That is, you think in your head, but very often the thought is not fully crystallized until you write it. So it's in the process of writing that you actually learn about the things you are writing about. So in that way, I suppose, as somebody who always wanted to write, it's when I write, I discover things not only about myself, but also about the things that I'm writing about. I mean, they kind of become clearer. When you read what you've written, you see the thought in a different light. You are able to figure out which direction you should take that thought or that idea, and so on. So that is one thing that I would mention, that it is in the act of writing that you discover. And so that's one way in which writing has helped me.
I have a question. A lot of people, they write, but they're unable to share their things publicly with people. And and they always ask me like how you're able to do it. I don't know how to do it, but what advice would you give them if they're struggling between whether to publish it and share it with people or just keep it to themselves? Because you said a lot of times you write for yourself, but a lot of times you write as an instructive or to show to publish.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you tell those people? Like, what would you advise them?
Well, it all depends on, where you want to reach with your writing. So these days, I mean, when I was growing up, there was no internet. So the only way you could get your writing out to people was if somebody agreed to publish it. Or if you had the means to put out something yourself, right? Like a printed something.
Yeah.
But these days, it's easy for everybody to publish, to self-publish. So I would say, you have to, if you want to show your writing to the world, or if you want to publish in some way, the best thing would be to start your own blog. A lot of writers say there is no such thing as writer's block. Of course, what we talk about as block is a sort of psychological or mental hesitation, right? To render yourself vulnerable, so to speak. So you feel like you're not good enough, or your expression is not good enough, etc. But then the one thing I would say is that you can't write without writing. I know that it sounds kind of trite and silly.
That's true.
But that's one. And you also cannot edit a blank page. Mm-hmm. So unless you have something down, you can't make it better. And some writers advise that, you should just do this free writing exercise every day. You just open a page or open a document on your computer and just type and just write without worrying about what is coming out. And then it is in the act of rereading and looking at it and trying to polish it that something actually emerges. I mean, nobody writes in final draft, right? Everybody has to go through multiple drafts before they produce something like Murakami.
That's a great message. Thank you so much for that. A final question: what advice would you give young or old who want to start writing about, like, what they ask you, what do I write about if I'm interested in writing? What would you advise them?
So, I teach a writing class, a basic writing class. And when I first ask people to pitch ideas, typically students will pitch these very grandiose topics. Either they will want to cover the Kashmir conflict and have an opinion on that, or they want to write about the meaning of life, or something really like at 50,000 feet height, I would say, not even 10,000 feet. So, and I keep telling them, write what you know. Write about things that are really close to you. I mean, it could even be a simple thing like, the room that you're sitting in. What does it look like? What bits of that room speak to you or reveal you? Or what did you do this morning? I mean, even something like, describing the texture of the breakfast. You overheated your toast and therefore it was dry and brittle. Something like that.
Write what you know. I think that's what we can take. Thank you so much for that. Now, the recommendation. What would you want to recommend to our audience? A book, a TV show, an author, a podcast.
Okay. Yeah. So, I think at different stages in your life, I think you reach out to different kinds of content, right? And there's so much good stuff out there. I'd say listen to some good writing. There's a series called Radio Lab, it's an American podcast series, and they do some excellent stories. And again, I think they're very well written for the ear, but they're very well written. Otherwise, lots and lots of recommendations. I think I can give you a whole page.
Yeah.
I write a blog, that's about sound. It's called The Listening Post. It's on Substack. And so where I write about podcasts, and I also write about writing for podcasts. So that's something. But yeah, there's a lot out there to recommend.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. We loved your insights. I'm pretty sure the audience are gonna really take a lot from this conversation. Thank you again for being a friend of Tynkrr.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and your words have helped people tinker more.
Yeah, more tinkering.
More tinkering. It's inspired more tinkering.
Yeah, well, yeah, here's to that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was a nice conversation.
Yeah, very, very. She's really inspirational in that sense. Very great clarity, I would say.
Yeah, a lot of clarity, and she had a lot of great advice to give. I think saying that write what you know about it. That's a very great place to start.
And writing about stuff that you're close, that you've read, that you've dived deep, something which is close to you. I think that's it. It is also easier that way. If you know the stuff, then it is easier to write.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, I also see the other way. If you find it difficult to understand, perhaps you should start writing about it, and then it would clarify for you.
Yeah. I think that's a very fair point. I feel like when I write, you get like she said, when you write, you get more clear about it. You actually put your thoughts to words, and you get clarity. It was a great conversation. Now on to our recommendations.
Recommendations, I think.
Our ecstasy.
X to Z. I mean, X to Z. What are the recommendations? I think that I would say two set. One is like always a book. Here's a book called Everybody Writes. I think it's again it's a very simple to-do manual kind of thing. It's not complicated. Like we always say that writing is not complicated. You just have to get started. And I think this book is a very manual kind of thing. So this is the 1 thing, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You keep doing those stuff and things would fall in place.
Yeah.
If you're not a book person, I would still recommend that you go to internet, go to Twitter and David Perel. Just follow David Perel. He will send you a 50-day.
There's a 50-day writing course. I did it last year over the summer, where every day he sends you an email with a tip for writing, and it's very interesting. Like he simplifies it a lot, and you can just, if you practice that, I think you're good to go.
It's good to go. I mean, of course, writing is a lifelong kind of thing. You could keep practicing, but I mean, David Perel is a very good place to start off with. He also has paid courses, but the one we are talking about is an email-based course.
Yeah.
Guess what? I mean, it's not even every day you get an email, you just follow that tip, write something on it, about it, using it, and you're done. I think these are the two resources, two things that I would recommend.
Yeah.
Of course, you could follow our guest, friend of Tynkrr, Usha Raman's podcast, and she writes about writing. So, which is again a good thing.
Yeah, we're going to put all the links in description. Check her out. I think she sent a lot of, she told about a lot of resources that you can check out if you want to start writing. And I think that's a great place for you to start. As for my recommendation, I'm going to recommend a movie, and I've been recommending this movie to every person I have found, and I'm going to do it here as well. It's called Tick, Tick, Boom. It's the starring actor is Andrew Garfield, who is, everybody's talking about him. He is the most famous celebrity at the moment. But Tick, Tick, Boom, I think, is his best work. I've seen quite a few, and this is my favorite. Tick, Tick, Boom is kind of like a love letter to writers, struggling writers, that things do get better. You just have to believe in yourself and hang on. And that's the story. Brilliant. I think
it's a great recommendation. Yeah. Tick, Tick, Boom.
Tick, Tick, Boom. It's like he's having a tick, tick in his brain that's going to go off any moment.
Tick, Tick, Boom.
Yeah. It's a great movie.
So that's about today's episode.
Yes,
thank you for joining us.
And thank you for watching. And we'll see you next time. We'll see you soon.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
See you soon.
Bye.